You guys are the writer-directors of the new documentary Marqueetown. Tell us a bit about what the film is, the premise, and kind of how you came to this project.
The story came to us after I discovered Bernie Rosendahl's project to save a historic art house theater in Marquette. And I found out that it had been the theater of his youth, the place that he saw movies growing up. And I just thought it was kind of a fascinating story, I think, because it was sort of a David and Goliath challenge, to find the money to restore this historic theater and then to run it as a nonprofit. And I started telling Jordan about what I had discovered, and we were both very interested in it. And Jordan suggested that maybe we could do a short film because it was so visual. And that short film turned into a 2-year project with a feature documentary, our first time ever taking this on. It is a story about a guy who tries to save a historic movie theater. In the background, we hope it's also a story about 100 years of movie history, because the narrative of the Nordic theater is very much like the narrative of so many other single screen art house theaters, especially in Michigan.
Lots in there, kind of looking at the current state of movie theaters and sort of balancing like the love that we feel for these theaters and just the state of that business, especially in, the post 2020 world here.
Yeah, the bad news, of course, is how many historic places of all types are on the edge of, being lost. And during the course of making this film, the Maple Theater, where we shot our only interview with Bernie Rosendahl, that was his new hometown theater, a neighborhood theater he adored. And right as we were finishing the film, it was announced that that was closing.
If you zoom out a little bit from a film we made about love of theaters, it's a film about what we've lost in these last few years, and even what was leading to it is this sense of community, this sense of coming together, of not just feeling so isolated. And so you find these things representing so much more than just the sum of their parts.
I think what was kind of amazing then was when we took Marqueetown on the road, we did an independent film tour where we wanted to give back a little bit. So we donated 100% of the profits to the venues that we visited. We did over 30 cities, and along the way, we have found thriving nonprofit community-based theaters that have kind of reinvented the model and created a sustainability and a kind of community around gathering for, live theater, for movies, for music. There were a lot of moments where we felt very optimistic, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think I've never been more bullish on the viability of these spaces as, community gathering places and something that's bigger than just the movies that they're showing.
Going back into the documentary, it starts with Bernie, but then it really spins off from there into this whole history of independent theaters in Michigan in the early 20th century and how this whole ecosystem came to exist. How did you guys, as documentarians, approach that history and digging into it?
It was a rabbit hole that Bernie starts by launching his own project, and we became fascinated with the Nordic theater. And then as we researched it, all of the characters involved, Delft Theaters Incorporated, the company that built this technological wonder and was based in the UP, they became a network all across the state. And we learned so much about them, and then came home and realized that the heart of our story was really Bernie's quest. And so then we filtered all of the actual history through his eyes. And so that's how we started blending cinema history with Bernie's story. And then our breakthrough moment at a point of a lot of frustration, because we had so many hours of interviews and so much to try and sift through. But Jordan said, we could use the language of cinema to tell a story about cinema. And suddenly our documentary became a real movie, because it wasn't an academic talking heads piece, we infused a ton of comedy, we hope, and creativity that help you through this story, but do it in hopefully an unexpected way. And if it lives on as a time capsule of a little bit of Michigan history, that would make us just so happy. And if it inspires other people that are trying to do what Bernie did or are facing challenges saving another place, that would be even better.
Watch One Detroit, Thursday at 7:30 p.m.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.